I'm Mark Easton, I'm the BBC's home editor, and this particular conference always inspires me because you've got a part of Europe which is struggling probably as much as anywhere on the continent in terms of providing affordable houses for people. But the sector, I think, has really risen to the challenge over the last decade, and there's huge amounts of innovation and creativity on display, and I think the session we've just had illustrated that well. People are prepared to challenge everything, to try and rethink the model if necessary. They don't want to throw things away that still have good life in them, but they are. I think this is a sector which has now got the self-confidence to say, hey, should we just not do it that way anymore, do something else, provide a different product, think of this problem differently, and that's really exciting, and I really applaud what's going on across the whole housing sector these days.
Chris Blundell, Building Homes, speaking at the Delivering Growth session at the CIH seminar. It's been a very interesting seminar session with a number of good ideas coming forward. I think particularly looking at what's happening in North America. North America is a very different market to here, and there is, I'm sure, a lot we can learn from that. I think Mark posed a number of challenges to us, significant issues around the planning system. I think what we perhaps could have done with a bit more time to explore would be the game changers for the future, particularly given a new administration, whether it's of the same complexion or not, we don't know, but a new administration in a couple of months' time, and understanding what game changers we might bring forward. I'm sure there are more good ideas to come out on that.
I'm Tom Rigby from Rydon, Development Director. I thought this afternoon's session was very, very useful. I think probably one of the key things to come out today is the fact that there is no one size that fits all. There's a whole host of different players, a host of different challenges there to resolve if we ever are to try and at least address or try and reduce the housing crisis that's there in Britain today. I think probably one of the things that we missed out on this afternoon, however, was the role the regions can play, and I think that sometimes gets lost. That sort of London and the South East, obviously it's the South East Conference, so we shouldn't forget about that. But I think that the regions have a much bigger part to play, and trying to channel investment out into the north, into Wales, into Scotland. I think that is critical. If not everyone can live in London at the end of the day, but we've got to make a better fist of it down in the south as well.
Okay, so I'm Michael Clegg. I'm head of programmes at the HCA. Just completed the plenary session at the CIH South East Conference in 2015. Wide-ranging set of very interesting, occasionally tough questions. Some interesting questioning around Section 106 agreements and the future of Section 106 agreements. I think I was able to put the perspective that Section 106 agreements have been a very successful complement to the programmes that HCA runs in terms of the delivery of affordable housing, and hopefully continue to be so into the future as we look to those complementing the new community infrastructure levy regime. Some tough questions on right to buy, and indeed on the private rental sector more generally, where I think the mood of the room was very much that there was a potential role for the private rental sector in driving housing supply into the future, particularly as an additional area of product complementing traditional market sale, as well as the affordable sector. I think it was important to talk a little bit about planning, and hopefully I introduce some interesting points on neighbourhood planning and the potential, both the surprising reach of neighbourhood plans have managed to attain already, and their potential for the future and the way that's changing the way people think about housing